those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. The prophecies of the first hour of Tuesday of the Holy Pascha. May his blessings be with us all. Amen.
From the book of Exodus of Moses the prophet, may his blessing us all. Amen. In the 3rd month after the children of Israel had gone out of the land of Egypt, on the same day they came to the wilderness of Sinai. For they had departed from Rephidim, had come to the wilderness of Sinai, and were camped in the wilderness. So Israel camped there before the mountain. And Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain, saying, Thus you shall say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I before you on eagle's wings, and brought to you to myself. Now therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice, and keep my covenant, and then you shall be a special treasure to me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. They are the words which you shall speak to the children of Israel. So Moses came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before them all these words which the Lord commanded him. Then all the people answered together and said, All that the Lord has spoken we will do. So Moses brought back the words of the people to the Lord. And the Lord said to Moses, Behold, I come to you in the thick cloud, that the people may hear when you speak with you, and believe you forever. So Moses told the words of the holy people to the Lord. Glory to the Lord, Trinity, for the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Also from Job the prophet, may his blessing be us all.
Even today my complaint is bitter. My hand is listless because of my groaning. Oh, that I know where I might find him, that I might come to his seat. I would present my case before him, and fill my mouth with arguments. I would know the words which he would answer me, and understand what he would say to me. Would he contend with me in his great power? No, but he would take note of me. There the upright could reason with him, and I would be delivered forever from my judgment. Look, I go forward, but he is not there, and backward, but I cannot perceive him. When he works on the left hand, I cannot behold him. When he turns to the right hand, I cannot see him. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I shall come forth as gold. My foot has held fast to his steps. I have kept his ways and not turned aside. I have not departed from the commandment of his lips. I have treasured the words of his mouth more than my necessary food. But he is unique, and who can make him change? And whatever his soul desires, that he does. For he performs what is appointed for me, and many such things are with him. Therefore I am terrified at his presence. When I consider this, I am afraid of him. For God made my heart weak, and the Almighty terrifies me. Because I was cut from my presence of darkness, and he did not hide deep darkness from my face.
Since times are not hidden from the Almighty, why do those who know him see not his days? Some remove landmarks. They seize flocks violently and feed on them. They drive away the donkey of the fatherless. They take the widow's ox as a pledge. They push the needy off the road. All the poor of the land are forced to hide. Indeed, like wild donkeys in the desert, they go out to their work searching for food. The wilderness yields food for them and for their children. They gather their fodder in the field and glean in the vineyard of the wicked. They spend the night naked without clothing and have no covering in the cold. They are wet with the showers of the mountain and huddle around the rock of want of shelter. Some snatch the fatherless from the breast and take a pledge from the poor. They cause the poor to go naked without clothing and take away the sheaves from their hunger. They press out oil with their walls and tread whispers, yet suffer thirst. The dying groan in the city, and the souls of the wounded cry out. Yet God does not charge them with wrong. There are those who rebel against the light. They do not know its way, nor abide in its path. The murderer rises with the light. He kills the poor and needy, and in the night he is like a thief. The eye of the adulterer waits for the twilight, saying, No eye will see me, and he disguises his face. In the dark they break into houses which they mark for themselves in the daytime. They do not know the light, for the morning is the same as them to the shadow of death. If someone recognizes them, they are in the terrors of the shadow of death. They should be swift on the face of the waters. Their portion should be cursed in the earth, so that no one would turn in the way of their vineyards. As drought and heat consume the snow and waters, so the grave consumes those who have sinned. The womb should forget him. The worm should feed sweetly on him. He should be remembered no more, and wickedness should be broken like a tree. For he preys on the barren who do not bear, and does no good for the widow. But God draws the mighty away with his power. He rises up, but no man is sure of life. He gives them security and then rely on it. Yet his eyes are on his ways. They are exalted for a little while. Then they are gone. They are brought low. They are taken out of the way like others. They dry out like the heads of grain. Now if it's not so, who will prove me a liar and make me beseech worth like? Glory be to the Trinity, Father, Son. Also from Hosea the prophet, may his blessings be with us all. Amen.
Hear the word of the Lord, you children of Israel, for the Lord brings a charge against the inhabitants of the land. There is no truth or mercy or knowledge of God in the land. By swearing and lying, killing and stealing, and committing adultery, they break all restraint, with bloodshed upon bloodshed. Therefore the land will mourn, and everyone who dwells there will waste away with the beasts of the field and the birds of the air. Even the fish of the sea will be taken away. Now let no man contend or rebuke another, for your people are like those who contend with the priest. Therefore you shall stumble in the day, the prophet also stumble with you in the night. And I will destroy your mother. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I will also reject you from being priests for me. Because you have forgotten the law of your God, and I also will forget your children. The more they increase, the more they sinned against me. I will change their glory into shame. They eat up the sin of my people. They set their heart on their iniquity. Glory be to the Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. A homily for our Father, Saint Shinu the Dashman, right? May his blessing be with us all. Amen. There are two things which I will tell you about. All those people for whom the heavens rejoice because they repented on earth will never see any grief or passion in that place, while those for whom the heavens did not rejoice because they did not repent on earth will never enjoy any joy or rest. Those who will have their joy on earth will never enjoy any joy or rest from now. You have heard that. Blessed are those who mourn, because they shall be comforted. And also those who did not rejoice on earth will rejoice in heaven. You have also heard, woe to you who are laughing now, because you will cry and grieve. This is the time in which the weak become strong. And those who are not strong will say, I am strong, when they give their hearts to the written commandments. As the prophet had said, many are those whose bodies weakened because of their adultery, and their heart will become weak as well. The Bible described them by saying, he will be destroyed by the uncleanness of himself, while those who are bravely striving and struggling were described by the saying, hurry and reconcile yourself as a friend to God, and an undefiled performer who performs the word of truth. Let us conclude the homily for our Father, Saint Abba Shinudai, who has enlightened our minds and the eyes of our hearts. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. Choice and the prayer. Amen. O Lord, hear us when we pray. Thankfully, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. Through Jesus Christ, our Lord, thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Eleison soctetigum nembionem bismonem biama shainem in Emmanuel ben noti ben oro soctetigum nembionem bismonem bi mai shainem in bashois Isos bechristos soctetigum nembio nembismonem biama shainem Amen.
Tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min beshois Isos bechristos dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min
Dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia shaine min bashois Isos bechristos dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min
Tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min beshois Isos bechristos dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min
Dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min bashois Isos dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min
Tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min beshois Isos bechristos dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min
Dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai ne min bashois Isos bechristos dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min
Dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min beshois Isos bechristos dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min
Dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai Sos bechristos dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min
Tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min beshois Isos bechristos dog tetigom nembio nembismo nembia mai shaine min
Dog tetigom
discourse, Prophetic, nempi, nempis, nempi, shaine, amen.
To you is the power and glory and blessing and honor forever. Amen. Emmanuel, our God and our King. To you is the power and glory and blessing and honor forever. Amen. My Lord Jesus Christ, to you is the power and glory and blessing and honor forever. Amen.
Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Jesus Christ our Lord, our thanks and Salmos toda afid ep choice ek enohe amen. Ta es nem
Αξίον φινιμές της ακροάσεως το Άγιο Ευαγγέλιο, Κύριον και τον Θεόν εμών, ή κατεύσομεν σοφία ορθιακοσομεν, το Άγιο
Evangelion o anonasese evol Evangelon esoap kata Ioannen agion
the Psalms of our teacher David, the prophet and king. May his blessings be with us all. Amen. Deliver my soul, O Lord, from lying lips and from a deceitful tongue. My soul has dwelt too long with one who hates peace. I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war.
Alleluia.
O Lord, have pity and mercy on us, and make us worthy to listen to your holy gospel. A chapter from the Holy Gospel according to St. John. The evangelist, apostle, and pure disciple, may his blessings
Be with us all.
Then Jesus said to them again, I am going away, and you will seek me and will die in your sin. Where I go, you cannot come. So the Jews said, will he kill himself because he says, where I go, you cannot come? And he said to them, you are from beneath, I am from above. You are of this world, I am not of this world. Therefore I said to you that you will die in your sins. For if you do not believe that I am He, you will die in your sins. Then they said to him, Who are you? And Jesus said to them, just what I have been saying to you from the beginning. I have many things to say and to judge concerning you. But he who sent me is true, and I speak to the world those things which I heard from him. They did not understand that he spoke to them of the Father. Then Jesus said to them, when you lift up the Son of Man, then you will know that I am He, and that I do nothing of myself, but as the Father taught me, I speak these things. And he who sent me is with me. The Father has not left me alone, for I always do those things that please Him.
Glory to you, Lord.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. From the Prophecies of the third hour of Tuesday of the Holy Pascha, may its blessing be with us all. Amen. From the book of Deuteronomy.
Beware that you do not forget the Lord your God by not keeping his commandments, his judgments, and his statutes which I command you today, lest when you have eaten and are full, and have built beautiful houses and dwell in them, and when your herds and your flocks multiply, and your silver and your gold are multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, when your heart is lifted up, and you forget the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage, who led you through the great and terrible wilderness, in which were fiery serpents and scorpions, and thirsty land where there was no water, who brought water for you out of the flinty rock, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your fathers did not know, and he might humble you, and he might test you, to do you good in the end. Then say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand have gained me this wealth. And you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth, and he may establish his covenant which he swore to your father, as it is the day. Then it shall be, if any means forget the Lord your God, and follow other gods, and serve them, and worship them, I testify against you this day, and you shall surely perish, as in the nations which the Lord destroys before you. So you shall perish because you will not be obedient to the voice of your God, your Lord your God. Glory be to the Holy Trinity, Father and Son. Also from Jesus, the son of Sirach, the prophet, may his blessings be also on him. My son, if you come forward to serve the Lord, prepare yourself for temptation. Set your heart right and be steadfast, and do not hasten in time of calamity. Cleave to him and do not depart, that you may be honored at the end of your life. Accept whatever is brought upon you, and in changes that humble you be patient. For gold is tested in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of humiliation. Trust in him, and he will help you. Make your way straight and hope in him. You who fear the Lord, wait for his mercy, and do not turn aside, lest you fall. You who fear the Lord, trust in him, and your reward will not fail. You who fear the Lord, hope for good things, for everlasting joy and mercy. Glory be to the Holy Trinity, Father. Also from Job the prophet, may his blessings be also on him.
Moreover, Job continued his discourse and said, As God lives, who has taken away my justice, and the Almighty, who has made my soul bitter, as long as my breath is in me and the breath of God in my nostrils, my lips will not speak wickedness, nor my tongue utter deceit. Far be it from me that I should say, You are right. Till I die, I will not put away my integrity from me. My righteousness I hold fast, and will not let it go. My heart shall not reproach me as long as I live. May my enemy be like the wicked, and he who rises up against me like the unrighteous. For what is the hope of the hypocrite, though he may gain much, if God takes away his life? Will God hear his cry when trouble comes upon him? Will he delight himself in the Almighty? Will he always call on God? I will teach you about the hand of God. What is with the Almighty I will not conceal. Surely all of you have seen it. Why then do you behave with complete nonsense? This is the portion of a wicked man with God, and the heritage of oppressors, receivers from the Almighty. If his children are multiplied, it is for the sword, and his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. Those who survive him shall be buried in death, and their widows shall not weep. Though he heaps up silver like dust, and piles up clothing like clay, he may pile it up, but the just will wear it, and the innocent will divide the silver. He builds his house like a moth, like a booth which a watchman makes. The rich man will lie down, but not be gathered up. He opens his eyes, and he is no more. Terrors overtake him like a flood. A tempest steals him away in the night. The east wind carries him away, and he is gone. It sweeps him out of his place. It hurls against him and does not spare. He flees desperately from its power. Men shall clap their hands at him, and shall hiss him out of his place. Surely there is a mine for silver, and a place where gold is refined. Iron is taken from the earth, and copper is smelted from ore. Glory be to the Holy Trinity our God, unto the age of all ages. Amen. Also from the book of 1 Kings, may its blessings be with us. Amen. And there he went into a cave, and spent the night in that place. And behold, the word of the Lord came to him, and he said to him, What are you doing here, Elijah? So he said, I have been very zealous for the Lord God of hosts, for the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, torn down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. I alone am left, and they seek to take my life. Then he said, Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord. And behold, the Lord passed by, and a great and strong wind tore into the mountains, and broke the rocks in pieces before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire a still small voice. So it was when Elijah heard it, that he wrapped his face in his mantle, and went out and stood in the entrance of the cave. And suddenly a voice came to him and said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" So he said, "I have been very zealous for the Lord God of hosts, because the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, torn down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. I alone am left, and they seek to take my life. Glory be to the Holy Trinity our God, unto the age of all ages. Amen."
Chosen and the praise of the third hour of the Tuesday of the Holy Pascha, made blessing be with us. Amen. Hear us, dear Lord, and pray thankfully. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever.
Kyrie eleison sucteti gom nembion embesmon embi mai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro sucteti gom nembion embesmon bi amai shaine min bashoi sisos be Christos sucteti gom nembion embesmon embi amai shaine min
Propheticum nembionem besmonem biamai shaenem Emmanuel ben noti ben horoth. Propheticum nembionem besmonem biamai shaenem in bashois Isus Christus. Propheticum nembionem besmonem biamai shaenem in
Propheticum nebionem bismonem biamai shaenem in Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Propheticum nebionem bismonem biamai shaenem in pashois Isus Christus. Propheticum nebionem bismonem biamai shaenem in
Propheticum nembionem besmonem biamai shaenem in Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Propheticum nembionem besmonem biamai shaenem in bashois Isus be Christus. Propheticum nembionem besmonem biamai shaenem in
Propheticum nebionem bismonem biamai shaenem in Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Propheticum nebionem bismonem biamai shaenem in pashois Isus be Christus. Propheticum nebionem bismonem biamai shaenem in
Propheticum nembionem besmonem biamai shaenem in Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Propheticum nembionem besmonem biamai shaenem in bashois Isus be Christus. Propheticum nembionem besmonem biamai shaenem in
Propheticum nebionem bismonem biamai shaenem in Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Propheticum nebionem bismonem biamai shaenem in pashois Isus be Christus. Propheticum nebionem bismonem biamai shaenem in
Propheticum nembionem besmonem biamai shaenem in Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Propheticum nembionem besmonem biamai shaenem in bashois Isus be Christus. Propheticum nembionem besmonem biamai shaenem in
Propheticum nempion, nempismon, nempiamai, shaine, minim menu, il penoti pen oro. Doctetigum, nempion, nempismon, nempiamai, shaine, min peshois Iisus, via Christus. Doctetigum, nempion, nempismon, nempiamai, shaine, min.
Doctetigum nempismo nempiamai shaine aminem manu il benoti ben oro doctetigum nempi nempismo nempi amai shaine amin bashoinsi sospi Christos doctetigum nempi nempismo nempi amai shaine amin.
To you is the power and glory and blessing and honor forever. Amen. Emmanuel, our God and our King. To you is the power and glory and blessing and honor forever. Amen. My Lord Jesus Christ, to you is the power and glory and blessing and honor forever. Amen.
Give us good Lord, we pray thank you, Lord, Father, for our hearts in heaven. Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, and our Savior.
A psalm of David.
According to your word. Is far from the wicked, or statutes.
Alleluia. Que per tu cataxio thenimas ti sacrasios tagio evangelio Kyrion και τον Θεόν ημών, ήκετ ευσόμεν σοφέορ θεακόσομεν το Άγιο
Evangelion o anonos esevol Evangelion esovep κατά Μαθαίον Αγίον.
Δόξα σοι, Κύριε.
From the Psalms of our father David, the prophet and king, may his blessings be with us all. Amen. Plead my cause and redeem me. Revive me according to your word. Salvation is far from the wicked, for they do not seek your statutes.
Alleluia.
O Lord, have pity and mercy on us, and make us worthy to listen to your holy gospel. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Saint Matthew, the evangelist, apostle, and pure disciple. May his blessings be with us all. Amen. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the one who kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to her. How often I wanted to gather your children together, as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you were not willing. See, your house is left to you desolate. For I say to you, you shall see me no more till you say, Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Then he went out and departed from the temple, And his disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said to them, Do you not see all these things? Assuredly I say to you, not one stone shall be left here upon another that shall not be thrown down.
Glory to Lord.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. From the Prophecies of the 6th hour of Tuesday of the Holy Pascha, may blessings be with us. Amen. From the book of Ezekiel.
And I say to you, the land of Israel, thus says the Lord, Behold, I am against you, and I will draw my sword out of its sheath, and cut off both righteous and wicked from you. Because I will cut off both from you, therefore my sword shall go out of its sheath against all flesh from south to north, that all flesh may know that I, the Lord, have drawn my sword out of its sheath, and shall not return any more. Sigh therefore, Son of Man, with a breaking heart, and sigh with bitterness before their eyes. And it shall be when they say to you, Why are you sighing? That you shall answer, Because of the news, when it comes, every heart will melt, all hands will be feeble, every spirit will faint, and all knees will be weak as water. Behold, it is coming, and shall be brought to pass, says the Lord God. Again, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, prophesies and say, Thus says the Lord, say, a sword is sharpened and also polished, sharpened to make dreadful slaughter, polished to flash like lightning. Should we then make mirth? It despised the scepter of my son, and it does all wood, and he has given to be polished, that it may be handled. The sword is sharpened, and it is polished to be given into the hand of the slayer. Cry and wail, Son of man, for it will be against my people, against all the princes of Israel. Terrors, including the sword, is testing. And what if the sword despises even the scepter? The scepter shall be no more, says the Lord God. Glory be to the Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Also from Jesus, the Son of Sirach, the prophet, may his blessings be with us all. Amen. Observe the right time and beware of evil, and do not bring shame on yourself. For there is shame which brings sin, and there is shame which is glory and favor. Do not show partiality to your own harm or deference to your downfall. Do not refrain from speaking at the crucial time, and do not hide your wisdom. For wisdom is known through speech, and education through the words of the tongue. Never speak against the truth, but be mindful of your ignorance. Do not be ashamed to confess your sins, and do not try to stop the current of a river. Do not subject yourself to a foolish fellow, nor show partiality to a ruler. Strive even to death for the truth, and the Lord God will fight for you. Do not be reckless in your speech, or sluggish and remiss in your deeds. Do not be like a lion in your home, nor be a fault finder with your servants. Let not your hand be extended to receive, but withdrawn when it's time to repay. Do not set your heart on your wealth, nor say, I have enough. Do not follow your inclination and strength. Walk according to the desires of your heart. Glory be to the Holy Trinity, of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Also from Isaiah the prophet, may his blessings be with us all. Amen.
The vision of Isaiah the son of Amos, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord has spoken. I have nourished and brought up my children, and they have rebelled against me. The ox knows its owner, and the donkey its master's crib. But Israel does not know, my people do not consider. Alas, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a brood of evildoers, children who are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord, they have provoked to anger the Holy One of Israel. They have turned away backward. Why should you be stricken again? You will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart faints. From the sole of the foot even to the head, there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. They have not been closed or bound up, or soothed with ointment. Your country is desolate, your cities are burned with fire. Strangers devour your land in presence, and it is desolate as overthrown by strangers. So the daughter of Zion is left as a booth in a vineyard, as a hut in the garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. Unless the Lord of hosts had left us to a very small remnant, we would have become like Sodom. We would have been made like Gomorrah. Glory be to the one true Father.
Choice and the praise of the 6th hour of Tuesday of the Holy Pascha, may blessing be with us all. Amen. Hear us, dear Lord, when we pray, thank you. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread.
Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Through Jesus Christ, our Lord, thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Kyrie eleison soctetigom nembion embismon embi mai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro soctetigom nembion embismon embi mai shaine min bashoisi sos be Christos soctetigom nembio nembismon embi ama shaine. Amen.
Doctetigom nempionem plasmonem piamae shaene min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Doctetigom nempionem plasmonem piamae shaene Isus be Christos. Doctetigom nempionem plasmonem piamae shaene min
Propheticum nempionem pismonem piamai shainem in Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Propheticum nempionem pismonem piamai shainem in peshois Isus per Christos. Propheticum nempionem pismonem piamai shainem in
Doctetigom nempionem plasmonem piamae shaene min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Doctetigom nempionem plasmonem piamae shaene min pachois Sos be Christos. Doctetigom nempionem plasmonem piamae shaene min
Doctetigum nempionem prismonem piamai shainem in Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Doctetigum nempionem prismonem piamai shainem in peshois Isus per Christos. Doctetigum nempionem prismonem piamai shainem in
Doctetigom nempionem plasmonem piamae shaene min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Doctetigom nempionem plasmonem piamae shaene Jois Isus be Christos. Doctetigom nempionem plasmonem piamae shaene min
Doctetigum nempionem plasmonem piamai shainem in Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Doctetigum nempionem plasmonem piamai shainem in peshois Isus per Christos. Doctetigum nempionem plasmonem piamai shainem in
Doctetigom nempionem plasmonem piamae shaene min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Doctetigom nempionem plasmonem piamae shaene pachois Isus per Christos. Doctetigom nempionem plasmonem piamae shaene min
Doctetigum nempionem plasmonem piamai shainem in Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Toktetigom nempion empismon empiamai shaene min peshoisis e Christos. Toktetigom nempion empismon empiamai shaene min.
To you is the power and glory and blessing and honor forever. Amen. Emmanuel, our God and our King. To you is the power and glory and blessing and honor forever. Amen. My Lord Jesus Christ, to you is the power and glory and blessing and honor forever. Amen.
Toktetigom nempio nempismon empiamai shaine min Emmanuel benoti ben oro. Toktetigom nempio nempismon empiamai shaine min peshoisis e Christos. Toktetigom nempio nempismon empiamai shaine. Amen.
Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Salmos toda avid pare
Sacratios agio evangelio, Kyrion keton theonemon, Ekatev somen sofia orthiakos somen, to agio
Webkata Ioannina Geyo
From the Psalms of our teacher David, the prophet and king, may his blessings be with us all. Amen. He delivers me from my enemies. You also lift me up above those who rise against me. You have delivered me from the violent man. He delivered me from my strong enemy, from those who hated me, for they were too strong for me. O Lord, have pity and mercy on us, and make us worthy to listen to your holy gospel. A chapter from the Holy Gospel according to St. John, the evangelist, apostle, and pure disciple. May his blessings be with us all. Amen. Then Jesus spoke to them again, saying, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life. The Pharisees therefore said to him, You bear witness of yourself. Your witness is not true. Jesus answered and said to them, Even if I bear witness of myself, my witness is true. For I know where I came from and where I am going. But you do not know where I came from or where I am going. You judge according to the flesh, I judge no one. And yet, if I do judge, my judgment is true, for I am not alone, but I am with the Father who sent me. It is also written in your law that the testimony of too many is true. I am one who bears witness of myself, and the Father who sent me bears witness of me. Then they said to him, Where is your Father? Jesus answered, You know neither me nor my Father. If you had known me, you would have known my Father also. These words Jesus spoke in the treasury as he taught in the temple, and no one laid hands on him, for his hour had not yet come.
Glory to you, Lord.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. From the Prophecies of the 9th hour of Tuesday of the Holy Pascha, may it blessing be yours, Amen. From the book of Genesis.
Then the Lord saw the wickedness of the man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. So the Lord said, I will destroy men, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping things and birds of the air, for I am sorry that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was just a man, perfect in his generation. Noah walked with God, and Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. So God looked upon the earth, and indeed it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted in their way on the earth. And God said to Noah, The end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy through them with the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark, and cover it inside and outside with pitch. And this is how you shall make it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. You shall make a window for the ark, and you shall finish it to a cubit from above, and set the door of the ark in its side. You shall make it lower, second, and third decks. And behold, I myself am bringing flood waters on the earth, to destroy from under heaven all flesh in which is the breath of life. Everything that is on this earth shall die, but I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall go into the ark, you, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. And of every living thing of all flesh you shall bring 2 of every sort in the ark, to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female. Of the birds after their kind, of animals after their kind, and of every creeping thing of the earth after its kind. 2 of every kind will come to you, and to keep them alive. And you shall take for yourself all food that is eaten, and you shall gather it to yourself, and it shall be food for you and for them. Thus Noah did, according to all that God commanded him, so he did. Then the Lord said to Noah, Come into the ark, you and all your household, because I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation. You shall take with you 7 each of every clean animal, a male and his female, 2 each of animals that are unclean, a male and his female, also 7 each of birds of the air, male and female, to keep the species alive on the face of all the earth. For after 7 more days I will cause it to rain on the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and I will destroy from the face of the earth all living things that I have made. And Noah did accordingly to all the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters were on the earth. So Noah with his sons, his wives, and his sons' wives went into the ark because of the waters of the flood, of clean animals, of animals that are unclean, of birds, and of everything that creeps on the earth. 2 by 2 they went into the ark to Noah, male and female, as God had commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the floods were on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, on that day all the fountains, all of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were open, and the rain was on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On the very same day Noah and Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Noah's wife and 3 wives of his sons with them, entered the ark. They and every beast after its kind, all cattle after their kind, every creeping thing that creeps on the earth after its kind, and every bird after its kind, every bird of every sort. And they went into the ark to Noah, 2 by 2, all flesh, which is the breath of life. So those that entered, male and female of all flesh, went in as God had commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. Now the Lord was on the earth 40 days. The waters increased and lifted up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. The waters prevailed and greatly increased on the earth, and the ark moved about on the surface of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly on the earth, and all the high hills under the whole heaven were covered. The waters prevailed 15 cubits upwards, and the mountains were covered, and all the flesh died that moved on the earth, birds and cattle and beasts, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, and every man. All in whose nostrils was the breath of the Spirit of life. All that was on the dry land died. So he destroyed all living things which were on the face of the ground, both men and cattle, creeping things, and the birds of the air. They were destroyed from the earth. Noah and those who were with him in the ark remained alive, and the waters prevailed on the earth 150 days.
Then God remembered Noah and every living thing, and all the animals that were with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided. The fountains of the deep and the windows of heaven were also stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained. And the waters receded continually from the earth. At the end of the 150 days the water decreased. Then the ark rested in the 7th month, the 17th day of the month, on the mountains of Ararat, and the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the 1st day of the month, the tops of the mountains were seen. So it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. Then he sent out a raven, which kept going to and fro until the waters had dried up from the earth. He also sent out from himself a dove, to see if the waters had receded from the face of the ground. But the dove found no resting place for the sole of her foot, and she returned into the ark to him. For the waters were on the face of the whole earth. So he put out his hand and took her and drew her into the ark to himself. And he waited yet another 7 days, and again he sent the dove out from the ark. Then the dove came to him in the evening, and behold, a freshly plucked olive leaf was in her mouth. And Noah knew that the waters had receded from the earth. So he waited yet another 7 days, and sent out the dove, which did not return again to him any more. And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the 1st month, the 1st day of the month, that the waters were dried up from the earth. And Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, and indeed the surface of the ground was dry. And in the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was dried. Then God spoke to Noah, saying, Go out of the ark, you and your wife, and your sons' wives with you. Bring out with you every living thing of all flesh that is with you, birds and cattle and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, so that they may abound on the earth and be fruitful and multiply on the earth. So Noah went out, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him. Every animal and creeping thing, every bird and whatever creeps on the earth, according to their families, went out of the ark. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and took of every clean animal and of every clean bird, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And the Lord smelled a soothing aroma. Then the Lord said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground for man's sake, although the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Nor will I again destroy every living thing as I have done. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and winter and summer, and day and night shall not cease. So God blessed Noah and his sons, and said to them, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be on every beast of the earth, on every bird of the air, on all that moves on the earth, and on all fish of the sea. They are given into your hand. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. I have given you all things, even as the green herbs. But you shall not eat the flesh with its life, that is, its blood. For surely for your lifeblood I will demand a reckoning. From the hand of every beast I will require it, and from the hand of man, from the hand of every man's brother I will require the life of man. Whoever sheds a man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God he made man. And as for you, be fruitful and multiply. Bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply it. Glory be to the Holy Trinity our God, unto the age of all ages. Amen. Also from the book of Proverbs of Solomon the prophet, may his blessings be with us. Amen. Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn out her 7 pillars. She has slaughtered her meat. She has mixed her wine. She has also furnished her table. She has sent out her maidens. She cries out from the highest places of the city. Whoever is simple, let him turn and hear. As for him who lacks understanding, she says to him, Come eat of my bread and drink of my wine which I have mixed. Forsake foolishness and live, and go in the way of understanding. He who reproves a scoffer gets shame for himself, and he who rebukes a wicked man gets himself a blemish. Do not reprove a scoffer, lest he hate you. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love you. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will still be wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. For by me your days will be multiplied, and years of your life will be added to you. Glory be to the Holy Trinity our God, unto the age of all ages. Amen. Also from the book of Isaiah the prophet, may his blessings be with us. Amen.
O Zion, you who bring good tidings, get up into the high mountain. O Jerusalem, you who bring good tidings, lift up your voice with strength. Lift it up, be not afraid. Say to the cities of Judah, Behold your God. Behold, the Lord God shall come with a strong hand, and his arm shall rule for him. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him. He will feed his flock like a shepherd. He will gather the lambs with his arm, and carry them in his bosom, and gently lead those who are with the young. Who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, measured heaven with a span, and calculated the dust of the earth in a measure, weighed the mountains in scales and the hills in a balance. Who has directed the Spirit of the Lord, or his counselor has taught him, with whom he took the counsel, and he who instructed him, and taught him in the path of justice, who taught him knowledge, and showed him the way of understanding. Behold, the nations are as a drop in a bucket, and are counted as the small dust on the scales. Look, he lifts up the isles as a very little thing, and Lebanon is not sufficient to burn, nor its beasts sufficient for a burnt offering. All nations before him are as nothing, and they are counted by him less than nothing and worthless. To whom then will you liken God? Or what likeness will you compare to him? The workman molds an image, the goldsmith overspreads it with gold, and the silversmith casts silver chains. Whoever is too impoverished for such a contribution chooses a tree that will not rot. He seeks for himself a skillful workman, to prepare a carved image that will not totter. Have you not known? Have you not heard? Has it not been told to you from the beginning? Have you not understood from the foundations of the earth? It is he who sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants like a grasshoppers, who stretches out the heaven like a curtain, and spreads them out like a tent to dwell in. He brings the princes to nothing, makes the judges of the earth useless. Scarcely shall they be planted, scarcely shall they be sown, scarcely shall they take root in the earth, when he will also blow on them, and they will wither, and the whirlwind will take them away like stubble. To whom then will you liken me, or to whom shall I be equal? Says the Holy One. Lift up your eyes on high, and see he who has created these things, who brings out their host by number. He calls them all by name, by the greatness of his might, and the strength of his power. Not one is missing. Why do you say, O Jacob, and speak, O Israel, my way is hidden from the Lord, and my just claim is passed over by my God? Have you not known? Have you not heard? The everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, neither faints nor is weary. His understanding is unreachable. He gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might he increases strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up the wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Glory be to the Holy Trinity, the Father, and the Holy Spirit. Also from Daniel the prophet, may his blessings be with us all. Amen. I watched till thrones were put in place, and the Ancient of Days was seated. His garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head was like pure wool. His throne was a fiery flame. It wields a burning fire. A fiery steam issued from and came from forth before him. A thousand ministering to him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court was seated, and the books were opened. I watched them because of the sound of the pompous words with the horn was speaking. I watched till the beast was slain, and its body destroyed, given to the burning flame. As for the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. I was watching in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man, coming with the clouds of heaven. He came to the Ancient Days, and they brought near him before him. Then to him was given dominion and glory, a kingdom that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom the one which shall not be destroyed. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit within my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. Glory be to the Holy Trinity, Father, Son. Also from Prophets of Solomon the prophet, may his blessing be with us all.
Does not wisdom cry out, and understanding lift up her voice? She takes her stand on the top of the high hill, beside the way where the paths meet. She cries out by the gates at the entry of the city, at the entrance of the doors. To you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of men. O you simple ones, understand prudence, and you fools, be of an understanding heart. Listen, for I will speak of excellent things, and from the opening of my lips will come right things. For my mouth will speak truth. Wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are with righteousness. Nothing crooked or perverse is in them. They are all plain to him who understands, and right to those who find knowledge. Receive my instructions and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice of gold. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all things one may desire cannot be compared with her. I, wisdom, dwell with prudence and find out knowledge and discretion. Glory be to God, the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
In the name of the Father, of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. A homily for our Father, Saint Abba Shinod and Right. May his blessings be with us all. Amen. Let us perform God's will, my brother, as long as we have enough time to do God's acts. Remember that death is never late, and we are going to leave the world. Where are all those who preceded us? They are all lying in their tombs. Therefore, we should bear fruit, which is worthy of God's blessings, which He gave to all of us and all the Christians. We have to follow Jesus Christ, the real light, because we are humans and He is the Master. He is the shepherd, and we are the flock under His command. He was born from the Father, but we are His creation, light from light. He died to save us, the sinners, and gave Himself up for us on the cross to offer us His kingdom. Slaves were never compelled to die instead of their masters, but our Master was not concerned with the shame and died for His slaves, so that as He died, they should die with Him, and as He is alive, they will live. Let us conclude the homily for Father Saint Abba Shinod and Right, who has enlightened our minds and the eyes of our hearts. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen.
Aren sefragizi
And the praise of the 9th hour of Tuesday of the Holy Pascha, may blessing be with us all. Amen. Hear us, dear Lord, when we pray thankfully. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses,
trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Through
Jesus Christ, our Lord, thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Kyrie eleison soctetigom nembio nembesmo nembio mai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro soctetigom nembio nembesmo nembio mai shaine min bashoisi sos be Christos soctetigom nembio nembesmo bia mai shaine min
Tetigon and be on and this morning be a my shine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Dog Tetigon and be on and this morning be a my shine min Beshois Jesus Christos. Dog Tetigon and be on and this morning be a my shine min.
Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min pachois Isos be Christos. Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min.
Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min pashois Isos be Christos. Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine amin.
Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min pachois Isos be Christos. Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min.
Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min pashois Isos be Christos. Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine amin.
Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min pachois Isos be Christos. Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min.
Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min pashois Isos be Christos. Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine amin.
Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min pachois Isos be Christos. Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min.
Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min Emmanuel ben noti ben oro. Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine min pashois Isos be Christos. Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine amin.
Tetigon nempion nempesmon nempiamai shaine Amahi Shahine Amin Pachois Isos Christos Tocteti Gomnem Pi Onem Pismone Amahi Shahine Amin.
To you is the power and glory and blessing and honor forever. Amen. Emmanuel, our God and our King. To you is the power and glory and blessing and honor forever. Amen. My Lord Jesus Christ, to you is the power and glory and blessing and honor forever. Amen.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, for thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forevermore. Amen.
A psalm of David to you. Lift my soul.
Alleluia.
I trust in you. Let me not be ashamed. Let not triumph over me. Let us be treacherously without cause.
Alleluia. Que pertocataxeo athenimas, ti sacroasio stagio evangelio, Kyrion και τον Θεόν εμών, εκατεύσομεν σοφέ ορθεακόσομεν το Άγιο
Evangelion anonos volchem bevangelion soab kato matheon agion
Doxasi
From the Psalms of our father David, the prophet and king, may his blessings be with us all. Amen. To you, O Lord, I lift my soul. O my God, I trust in you. Let me not be ashamed. Let not my enemies triumph over me. Let those be ashamed who deal treacherously without cause.
Alleluia.
O Lord, have pity and mercy on us, and make us worthy to listen to your holy gospel. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Saint Matthew, the evangelist, apostle, and pure disciple. May his blessings
Be with us all.
Now as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming? And of the end of the age? And Jesus answered and said to them, Take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you. And you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended, will betray one another and hate one another. Then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many, and because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold, but he who endures to the end shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him who is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house, and let him who is in the field not go back for his clothes. But woe to those who are pregnant and those with nursing babies in those days. And pray that your flight may not be in winter or on the Sabbath, for then there will be great tribulation, such as has not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor shall ever be. And unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. Then if anyone says to you, "Look, here is the Christ," or "There," do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and show great signs and wonders, so as to deceive, if possible, even the elect. See, I have told you beforehand. Therefore, if they say to you, "Look, he is in the desert," do not go out, or "Look, he is in the inner rooms," do not believe it. For as the lightning comes from the east and flashes to the west, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. For wherever the carcass is, there the eagles will be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn. And they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, and he will send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they will gather together the elect from the four winds, from one end of the heaven to the other. Now learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branches has already become tender and puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So you also, when you see all these things, know that it is near at the very doors. Assuredly I say to you, this generation will by no means pass away till all these things are fulfilled. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will by no means pass away.
Glory to you,
the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. From the prophecies of the 11th hour of Tuesday of the Holy Pascha, may its blessing be with us, and Amen. From the book of Isaiah.
There will be on a very high mountain and on every high rivers and streams of waters in the day of the great slaughter, when the towers fall. Moreover, the light of the moon will be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun will be sevenfold, as the light of 7 days, in the day that the Lord binds up the bruise of his people and heals the stroke of their wound. Behold, the name of the Lord comes from afar, burning with his anger, and his burden is heavy. His lips are full of indignation, and his tongue like a devouring fire. His breath is like an overflowing stream, which reaches up the neck to sift the nations with the sieve of fertility. And there shall be a bridle on the jaws of the people, causing them to err. You shall have it sung as in the night when a holy festival is kept, and gladness of heart, and as one goes with a flute, to come into the mountain of the Lord, to the mighty one of Israel. The Lord will cause his glorious voice to be heard, and show the descent of his arm, with the indignation of his anger and the flame of the devouring fire, with scattering tempest and hailstones. Glory be to the Holy Trinity, Father and Son. Also from the book of Proverbs of Solomon, the prophet, may his blessing be with us all.
My son, keep your father's command, and do not forsake the law of your mother. Bind them continually upon your heart. Tie them around your neck. When you roam, they will lead you. When you sleep, they will keep you. And when you awake, they will speak with you. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law a light. Reproofs of instruction are the way of life. To keep you from the evil woman, from the flattering tongue of a seductress, do not lust after her beauty in your heart, nor let her allure you with her eyelids. For by means of a harlot a man is reduced to a crust of bread, and an adulteress will prey upon the precious life. Can a man take fire to his bosom, and his clothes not to be burned? Can one walk onto hot coals, and his feet not be seared? So is he who goes into his neighbor's wife. Whoever touches her shall not be innocent. People do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy himself when he is starving. Yet when he is found, he must restore sevenfold. He may have to give up all the substance of his house. Whoever commits adultery with a woman lacks understanding. He who does so destroys his own soul. Wounds and dishonor he will get, and his reproach will not be wiped away. For jealousy is a husband's fury. Therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will accept no recompense, nor will he be appeased though you give many gifts. My son, keep my words, and treasure my commandments with you. Keep my commands and live, and my law as the apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers, write them on your tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, you are my sister, and call understanding your nearest kin. Glory be to the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
And the praise of the 11th hours of the Tuesday of the Holy Pascha, may its blessing be with us, and Amen. Hear us, dear Lord, when we pray thankfully. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us
this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Through Jesus Christ, our Lord, thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Kyrie eleison tok tetigom nembio nembismo nembiama shaine min Emmanuel benoti ben oros tok tetigom nembismo biamai shaine min bashois Isos bechristos tok tetigom nembio nembismo nembiamai shaine min
Tetigom nempio, nempismo nempia mai shine, min Emmanuel benoti ben oro. Tok tetigom nempio, nempismo nempia mai shine, min peshois Isos be Christos. Tiranagathos, tok tetigom nempio, nempismo nempia mai shine, min.
Doctetigum nempionem pesmorem pia mahishaene min Emmanuel penoti penoro. Doctetigum nempionem pesmorem mahishaene min pachois Iisus per Christos pasotiren agathos. Doctetigum nempionem pesmorem pia mahishaene min
Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia maishaene min Emmanuel penoti penoro. Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia maishaene min pashois Iisus per Christos pasotiren agathos. Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia maishaene amin.
Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia mahishaene min Emmanuel penoti penoro. Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia mahishaene pachois Iisus per Christos pasotiren agathos. Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia mahishaene min.
Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia maishaene min Emmanuel penoti penoro. Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia maishaene min pashois Iisus per Christos pasotiren agathos. Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia maishaene amin.
Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia mahishaene min Emmanuel penoti penoro. Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia mahishaene pachois Iisus per Christos pasotiren agathos. Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia mahishaene min.
Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia maishaene min Emmanuel penoti penoro. Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia maishaene min pashois Iisus per Christos pasotiren agathos. Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia maishaene amin.
Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia mahishaene min Emmanuel penoti penoro. Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia mahishaene pachois Iisus per Christos pasotiren agathos. Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia mahishaene min.
Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia maishaene min Emmanuel penoti penoro. Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia maishaene min pashois Iisus per Christos pasotiren agathos. Doctetigum nempionem pesmonem pia maishaene amin.
To you is the power and glory and blessing and honor forever. Amen. Emmanuel, our God and our King. To you is the power and glory and
nempi esmonem pia mai, shaine amin Immanuel benoti benoro, Doctetigom nempi esmonem pia mai, shaine amin beshois Isos Christos pasotiren agathos, Doctetigom nempi esmonem pia mai, shaine amin.
Hear us, dear Lord, when we pray thankfully. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Through Jesus Christ, our Lord, thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Salmos David Shaene
Taxio thinimes, ti sacrasios tagio evangelio, Kyrion keton theonemon, ekatev somen sopheor theakosomen, to agio
Sesevol Chem bevangeliones uap Katamatheonagio
From the Psalms of our teacher David, the prophet and king, may his blessings be with us all. Amen. Your throne, O God, is forever and ever. A scepter of righteousness is the scepter of your kingdom. Blessed is he who considers the poor. The Lord will deliver him in time of trouble. O Lord, have pity and mercy on us. and make us worthy to listen to your holy gospel. A chapter from the Holy Gospel according to Saint Matthew, the evangelist, apostle, and pure disciple. May his blessings be with us all. Amen. For the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a far country, who called his own servants and delivered his goods to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his own ability, and immediately he went on a journey. Then he who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them, and made another 5 talents. And likewise he who had received 2 gained 2 more also. But he who had received 1 went and dug in the ground and hid his Lord's money. And after a long time the Lord of those servants came and settled accounts with them. So he who had received 5 talents came and brought 5 other 5 talents. Look, I have gained 5 more talents. To him, well done, good and faithful servant. You are faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. He also who had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, you delivered to me 2 talents. Look, I have gained 2 more talents besides them. His Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. Then he who had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. And I was afraid and went and hid your talent in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours. But the Lord answered and said to him, You wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown, and gather where I have not scattered seed. So you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But from who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the unprofitable servant into outer darkness there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the holy angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate them one from another as a shepherd divides his sheep from the goats. And he will set the shepherd on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Then the king will say to those on his right hand, Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you took me in. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came to me. Then the righteous will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you a stranger and take you in, or naked and clothe you? Or when did we see you sick or in prison and come to you? And the king will answer and say to them, Assuredly I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me. Then he will also say to those on the left hand, Depart from me, you cursed, into the everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you did not take me in. Naked, and you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me. Then they also will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister to you? Then he will answer them, saying, Assuredly I say to you, inasmuch as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me. And these will go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into eternal life. Now it came to pass, when Jesus had finished all these sayings, that he said to his disciples, You know that after 2 days is the Passover, and the Son of Man will be delivered up to be crucified.
Glory to you, Lord.
Finevran in te eterias Eviotne me beshirin be in thy femi In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. The commenter of the first hour of Tuesday of the Holy Pascha, may its blessing be with us all, Amen.
The Israelites came to Mount Raphaim after they had left Egypt and stayed 3 months in the wilderness. When Moses was in the presence of God, God told him to remind the Israelites of the wondrous miracles he had done for them out of Egypt, and that he had chosen them to become his nation. Moses related this message to them, and they all said with one accord that they will follow all God's orders. However, they did not keep their promise and broke his commandments. Therefore, God delivered them to their enemies, and they were humiliated among all nations.
Christ, our Savior, came and suffered for us, that he may save us through his sufferings.
Let us glorify and exalt his name according to his great mercy.
The commenter of the third hour of Tuesday of the Holy Pascha, may its blessing be with us all, Amen.
God said, "How many times I wanted to put my arms around all you people, just as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you would not let me. But they still went astray. Therefore God ruined them forever." When the disciples showed Jesus the temple, he told them it will all be destroyed. And indeed it happened 40 years after Jesus' resurrection, when the Romans came to the temple and ruined it, and killed 1,200,000 Jews, and the wrath of God came upon them.
Christ, our Savior, came and suffered for us, that he may save us through his sufferings.
Let us glorify and exalt his name according to his great mercy.
The commentary of the ninth hour of the Tuesday of the Holy Pascha, may its blessing be with us all, Amen.
The true God came into the world and said that he is the light of the world, and he who follows him will not walk in darkness, but will find the light of life to guide him to the way of the truth. He drew us, the Gentiles, to know the true light, and shone upon us with his light, after living in darkness and the shadow of death. But the Jews were his chosen, were rejected, because they had refused him and condemned him to die. Let us glorify his holy name and praise him continuously.
Christ, our Savior, came and suffered for us, so that he may save us through his sufferings.
Let us glorify and exalt his name according to his great mercy.
The commentary of the ninth hours of the Tuesday of the Holy Pascha, may its blessing be with us all, Amen.
Come, all you who dwell in Jerusalem, to the Mountain of Olives to see Jesus of Nazareth, the word of the Father, surrounded by his disciples, asking him about the temple. He answered them to beware of those who will deceive them. A nation will rise against nation, and there will be earthquakes and troubles all over the earth, and that they will be hated and killed from all nations for the sake of his name. They have to endure unto the end to be saved.
Christ our Savior came and suffered for us, that he may save us through his sufferings.
Let us glorify and exalt his name according to his great mercy.
The commentary of the 11th hours of Tuesday of the Holy Pascha, may its blessing be with us all, Amen.
I have sinned, O God Almighty, forgive me. I have done evil and became lazy in obeying your commandment. When you will come in all your glory, surrounded by the angels and all the nations from all the corners of the world, you will separate the sheep from the goats. The sheep will go on your right hand and will rejoice with you, because they have fed you when you were hungry, and gave you a drink when thirsty, and hosted you when being a stranger, clothed you when being naked, and visited you when in prison. But the goats who are on your left will go to eternal punishment. You who are still under the judgment, be merciful to others before the day of judgment. After Jesus had finished this talk, he told them that in 2 days he will celebrate the Passover with them and fulfill all the prophecies about him, that he is the Lamb of the Passover. He is truly the Lamb of God who carried the sins of the world.
Christ our Savior came and suffered for us, that he may save us through his sufferings.
And let us glorify and exalt his name according to his great mercy.
Christos ben sotir. Inachene evemakav Aferona iniman. Εκκληνομεν τα ονάτα.
Thine aneflot of Yod be pantocrator.
Αναστομέν εκκληνομεν τα ονάτα.
Thine aneflot pensotir.
Και αναστομέν εκκληνομεν τα ονάτα.
Thine aneflot yon einar.
Pray that God may have mercy and compassion on us, hear us, sustain us, continuously accept the prayers and supplication of his saints on our behalf for our good always, and forgive us our sins.
Lord have mercy.
Ask for the peace of the one and holy universe and apostolic church, and the salvation of God in the congregation, and for the safety of every place, and forgive us our sins. Ask for our fathers and brothers and sisters who are sick of any type of sickness here and in all other places, so that our Lord Jesus Christ would cure them and forgive us our sins.
Lord have mercy.
Ask and pray for our fathers and brethren and sisters who are actually in trouble, and them and anywhere who intend to travel, that God may facilitate the ways of all them, whether by sea or river or lake or in the beaten tracks, or those traveling by all means, that Christ our Lord may bring them back to their homes in safety and forgive us our sins. Ask and pray for the rain, the winds of heaven, the fruits of the earth, of the lands, and all the trees and vineyards, also that every fruitful tree be blessed and grows in safety, and forgive us our sins.
Lord have mercy.
Ask and pray that God may give us mercy and peace in the hearts of all the rulers, the presidents, the kings, and at all times, and forgive us our sins. Ask and pray for our fathers and for our brethren and sisters who have slept and rested in the faith of Christ from the beginning. Holy fathers, the archbishops, our fathers, the bishop, the metropolitans, our fathers, the priests, our brethren, the deacons, and our fathers, the monks, and our sisters, the nuns, and for our fathers, the laymen, and for the repose of all the Christians, that Christ our Lord may rest all their souls in the paradise of the light, and we as well may He have mercy on us and forgive us our sins.
Lord have mercy.
Ask and pray for them who attended to the sacrifices, the oblations, the first fruits, the oil, the incense, the coverings, and the books of the readings, and the vessels of the altar, that Christ our Lord Jesus Christ may reward them in the heavenly Jerusalem and forgive us our sins. Ask and pray for the catechumens of our church, that the Lord bless them and enlighten their hearts and confirm them in the faith of the Holy Orthodox Church till the end of their lives, and forgive us our sins.
Lord, have mercy.
Ask and pray for this holy church and all the churches and monasteries and the nunneries of the Orthodox people, the Orthodox fathers of the church, for the whole world, that God grant all of us security and keep us away from all evil, and forgive us our sins. Ask and pray for the life of our venerate Father, the Archbishop, our Patriarch, Abba Tawadros II, and that God keep him for many years in peaceful times and forgive us our sins.
Lord, have mercy.
Ask and pray for the Orthodox metropolitans, the bishops, and our Father and Daniel in every place, the protopriests, the priests, the deacons, and all the orders of the church, that the Lord Jesus Christ keep and strengthen them and forgive us our sins. Ask and pray for this congregation, all the congregation of the Orthodox churches in the whole world, that God bless and support them and forgive us our sins.
Lord, have mercy.
Ask and pray for the clergymen and all the faithful who have service in the Holy Church, that God bless and support them and forgive us our sins. Ask and pray for all those who share in different service and needs of the church, and helping the Orthodox people by any means, and forgive us our sins.
Lord, have mercy.
Ask and pray for all the kings, the rulers, and the presidents, who told us to mention them in our prayers in the Holy Orthodox Church, that the Lord God bless them and have mercy on them and give them mercy in the hearts of the other kings and rulers, and forgive us our sins. Ask and pray for those who are poor, for the weak people, and for the peasants, and for all those who are in distress of any kind, that our Lord Jesus Christ be merciful with them and with us also, and forgive us our sins.
Lord, have mercy.
Ask and pray for all those who are in distress, for being in captivity or imprisoned or in exile, or afflicted with unclean spirits and devils, that God have mercy with them, liberate them, and forgive us our sins.
Lord, have mercy.
Pray and ask for all those assembled with us this holy day, in this holy place and all the holy places, asking for mercy for all their souls, and the Lord of kindness may have mercy on them and us, and forgive us our sins. Pray and ask for all those who told us to mention them in our prayers in this holy church, that God may remember them according to His great goodness at all time, and forgive us our sins. Pray and ask for the rising of the waters of the rivers this year, that Christ our Lord may bless it and raise it according to its measure, and make glad the face of the earth, and sustain us, mankind, and give safety to the cattle, and save us all from the inflation, plagues, earthquakes, calamities, drowning, fire, deportation by the Berber, the sword of the strange, and the rising of the heretics, to grant us peace and tranquility for our Orthodox Church in the whole world, and raise the affairs of His Orthodox Christians through the sign of the Holy Cross in the whole world, now and forever, and forgive us our sins.
Lord, have mercy.
Pray and ask for the Holy Pascha of our Lord Jesus Christ, so that He may complete it for us in peace this time and all the times, and show us the joy of His holy resurrection, while all of us are safe, and forgive us our sins. Shonai Ron Ari Oini Man Gentek Met Oro Kyrie eleison Kyrie eleison Kyrie eleison
Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison.
Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison.
Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison.
Oron tetihirini moina nentek hirini semnena nentek hirini kanin nobi nanevol.
Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison.
Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison.
Disperse the enemies of the church and fortify her to be unshakable forever.
Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison.
Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison.
Manuel benoti gente miti tinu khenbo ente befiot nembe bnev maswab.
Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison.
Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison.
May he bless us all and purify our hearts and heal the sicknesses of our souls and bodies.
Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison.
Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison.
Oshtemoko bechrestos nem bekioten agasos nem bebnevoma wabji av ashkak soti emon. Amin alleluia doxabatrike yoke agiop nevmatike ninkai. Estos onastoni onan amin ten oshe volevgo moshe oben shoy sisos be Christos etav ashfestos prosim chem satana sabasiten nenet shala sotiamon uvohnainan Kyrie eleison Kyrie eleison Kyrie logison amin moeroi simetania gombe evol gombe esmo. Our Lord Jesus Christ, the true God, who accepted the passion willingly and was crucified on the cross on our behalf, may He bless us with all the spiritual blessings. Help us and complete for us this Holy Pascha. Show us the happiness of His holy resurrection for many years to come, through the never-ending intercession of the Theotokos, the Mother of God. the Saint Mary the Virgin, and all the choirs of the angels and the archangels, and through the prayers of the martyrs and the saints and the patriarchs, the prophets, the apostles, the martyrs, and the just and the righteous, and the cross bearers, the ascetics, the confessors, and the anachorites, and through the blessings of His holy Pascha of our good Savior, Lord Jesus Christ. May their holy blessings, their grace, their power, their gift, their love, and their help be with us forever. Christos benoti. O King of peace, grant us your peace, forgive us our sins, for to you is the glory and adoration forever. Amen. Hear us when we pray, thankfully. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. And now the love of the Heavenly Father, the grace of His only begotten Son, and the gift of the Holy Spirit be with you. Go in the peace of the Lord, be with you all. God bless you all. We are super lucky to be having the prayer in His holy church. We pray for the sick and those who cannot even watch the TV. Yeah, God bless you all.